It's final. Jacob Zuma cannot stand in next week's elections. The International Criminal Court issues arrest warrants for Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. First denial, then after this video, an apology. What's Sean Diddy Combs playing at? Hello, I'm Jane Dutton. Good to have you with us.
This is Eyewitness News.
Former President Jacob Zuma will not be allowed to run for a seat in Parliament for the Umkhonto we Sizwe party in the upcoming elections. The Constitutional Court has overturned the Electoral Court's previous ruling, giving his candidacy the go-ahead. The court has held that the 15-month prison sentence it gave Zuma for contempt in 2021 disqualifies him.
This court concludes that Mr. Zuma was convicted of an offence and sentenced to more than 12 months imprisonment for the purposes of Section 47(1)(e) of the Constitution and is accordingly not eligible to be a member of and not qualified to stand for election to the National Assembly until 5 years have elapsed since the completion of his sentence.
President Cyril Ramaphosa, who came into our Prime Media studios today, has noted the Court's decision and called for all parties to respect the ruling.
I'm not concerned about this instigating violence. President Jacob Zuma should be the one person who should respect the rule of law. We have rule of law in South Africa that governs us. Once a constitutional court has decided that is it.
The National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure, made up of SAPS, SANDF and State Security, say there are operational plans in place to deal with any disruptions between now and voting day. Over the weekend, we saw a 54% voter turnout at South Africa's largest voting station abroad. Out of more than 24,000 registered voters in the United Kingdom, London's Trafalgar Square saw more than 13,000 of them voting over the weekend. Reports are that the process went off smoothly. Targeting the perpetrators behind the violence in Israel and Gaza. The International Criminal Court is seeking arrest warrants for Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and others on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity.
On the basis of evidence collected and examined by my office, that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant bear criminal responsibility for the following international crimes committed on the territory of the State of Palestine from at least the 8th of October 2023. The crimes include starvation of civilians as a method of warfare, willfully causing great suffering, serious injury to body or health or cruel treatment, willful killing or murder, and intentionally directing attacks against a civilian population, as well as crimes against humanity of extermination and or murder, persecution, and allegations of crimes of committing other inhumane acts.
Swilling in rubbish, trash will not be picked up in parts of Johannesburg again, as casual workers with the city's waste management service pick it up have vowed to intensify their protests throughout this week. The workers whose contracts will expire soon have gathered at different depots in the city demanding permanent employment from the entity and say they'll not be bullied into backing down from the protest. This after Pick It Up deployed public order officers to remove the protesting workers from the depots on Friday.
We are going to caucus with other depots how we can best intensify so that we can apply pressure.
Condolences continue to pour in for Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash on Sunday. Raisi was traveling by helicopter in the country's East province when it came down in a forested area. Iran's Foreign Minister Hussein Amir Abdullahian was also among those killed.
The latest information we have is that they will call a cabinet meeting today in order to give effect to the constitutional provisions which allow a leadership to be appointed following such a tragic loss.
The first official state funeral will take place tomorrow, Tuesday. And Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has announced 5 days of mourning. Interviews for the judiciary's top spots have kicked off this morning with 10 nominees for 3 positions at the Supreme Court of Appeal. Attention will later turn to the nominees for the next Chief Justice and the next SCA Deputy President.
SCA President Mahube Molamela's question came against the backdrop of the SCA having recently lost justices with a cumulative hundreds of years' worth of experience, and Judge Nampla Sowendu having been a judge for 7 years. She says, though, that law is dynamic and it's not unheard of to appoint judges with just a few years' experience and build a complement of skills.
I'm not going to dispute absolutely experience is important, experience is critical. But the renewal and fresh thought and fresh thinking sometimes is necessary to keep the law dynamic.
The interviews are still continuing and are expected to run into the night. They were expected to wrap up by 4:30 this afternoon, but there are still a number of candidates who are yet to have their turn before the Commission. Bernadette Wicks, Eyewitness News.
Rapper Sean Diddy Combs has apologized after hotel surveillance video surfaced showing him physically assaulting his then-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura in 2016. Combs is the target of several civil lawsuits that characterize him as a violent sexual predator who used alcohol and drugs to subdue his victims, and his homes were raided this year by federal agents. Disturbing footage shows the rap mogul hitting, dragging, and kicking Ventura, who in a recent lawsuit said Combs subjected her to more than a decade of coercion by physical force and drugs, plus a 2018 rape.
My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy. I'm going to rehab. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Truly sorry.
And that's all from us today. We'll see you for more again tomorrow. Don't forget to download the EWN and the Prime Media Plus app.
Eyewitness News, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.